My name is Aubrey Parker, and I think I might be the last person left.
Hello?
Anybody? Please. But you know what used to be my dream? Was for everyone to just disappear.
Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys talk about movies that they've seen thanks to the power of a random generator algorithm. And as always, with me is the SpongeBob SquarePants to my Patrick Star, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Saturn. How's it going, Kyle?
Sorry, I'm not very good at that laugh.
It's okay. The only person that's good at it is Tom Kenny.
Yes, indeed. It's going well. What did we watch this time?
We watched a movie called Starfish, and it is not about Patrick Star, which
is disappointing.
Is vaguely disappointing.
I really wish, when they went into the animated sequence, that maybe we would have got a little Patrick.
Yes.
But before all that, let's just jump right into the What You Watchin'.
What you been watching, Kyle?
A few things. Let me pull up my handy-dandy list that I so OCDly keep. I watched Long Shot finally with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there was a lot of... it was actually quite funny and a really good movie. Of course, there's some jokes that went a little too far because...
It's Seth Rogen.
It's Seth Rogen. But overall, I really enjoyed that movie. I would recommend that one. I finally watched Midsommar.
Oh, yeah.
Midsummer. Midsummer? I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it just Midsummer? It's pretty predictable where it's going to go, but it's still a tense movie and fun.
Were there bees?
The bees!
Not the
bees! Oh God, the bees!
They're my eyes.
No, there were no bees, but
I'm not going to watch it then.
There were some other interesting things, and I like the actors in it. It had
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh, who was really good in Fighting with My Family, and then now I can't think of his name. He was the older brother in Sing Street, and I really liked him in that. He was also in Free Fire.
Was he the boyfriend?
Yeah, and now all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I'm a fan of his. And then
the third friend was William Jackson Harper from The Good Place. He plays Chidi.
Oh, okay. And then it had boy, this is going to be just like last time where I can't remember anybody's names.
Oh boy.
But anyway, it's Will Poulter was the other one. I really like him too.
Yeah.
He plays he does a lot of interesting movies.
It's fun when he shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little predictable, and I spent a lot of the movie though going. It's one of those where you're going, once a certain thing happens, the rest of the movie you're going, why aren't you getting the hell out of there? But overall, it was pretty good. I watched Octavia Spencer go crazy at Ma. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
That went just like unexpectedly just insane at the end.
Yep, that was fun. I hope it gets a sequel.
I liked watching Octavia Spencer
be evil.
Be evil because she is always the same character in every movie. She's great. I love Octavia Spencer.
She needs more stuff. It's definitely fun to see her play outside of her normal type.
Yeah, exactly. And she looked like she was having a ton of fun in that movie.
Yep.
I watched John Wick Chapter 3. I don't know if you've seen any of those.
I saw the first one, but I don't remember it, so I should watch it again because I'm pretty sure I would like it.
Yes, it is a good movie. I really liked the first one. The second one got a little, almost too campy, and just everyone in New York is an assassin. I was like, really, everyone?
That's how that works.
And there were certain scenes that just I didn't like so much because the first one was so grounded with the fighting and the gunplay and everything. But then they went full bore in the third one, and I actually liked it more than the second one. And some of the fight scenes were pretty badass. I mean, one scene he coaxes a horse into kicking a man to death. So that's how he fought that guy. But
and just then he teaches a horse how to use a machine gun.
Yes. So some creative fights. The end fight through the building got a little lengthy, and you were just getting to the point where you're like, okay, dude, seriously, just take these guys out and get on to the next guy. But That was about my only complaint of the movie.
I
A lot of
assume
fun.
it's just like the big fight at the end of the Matrix Revolutions where they go like full Super Saiyan and then...
I don't even remember the end of that movie because I don't know if... Was that the third one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the one we watched, wasn't it?
Yeah, we watched it for this podcast. It's the only Matrix film I've seen all of.
Yeah, that shows how much I liked that movie. I watched Tron Legacy for the first time, and I kind of dug it. It was fun. Like, the music's really good, which is one thing I heard.
Yep, Daft Punk,
When it came out, that was the one thing that everybody liked about it. I thought the story and all of that was kind of fun, too. And, the effects got way better than they were in Tron, the original. So it was fun. I'm working on trying to get... So as we're recording this, it will come out after the Oscars, but we're recording it before the Oscars. I'm working on trying to watch at least all the Best Picture nominees. I've seen Parasite, I've seen Irishman and Marriage Story because they're on Netflix, and I went and saw 1917.
Did you watch Marriage Story with your spouse?
No, I did not.
That's probably a smart move.
All the fights had come out. 1917 was a really cool movie. And of course, most people are going to know it's the one that, it's the war movie that looks like one continuous shot. I think the only complaint that I have with the movie is that gimmick actually gets in the way of the storytelling at some points. Because there's one scene in particular where it's like, he's with this group of people. And since it's one continuous shot, it means that there's no cut in time. And all of a sudden he gets out of this caravan and he goes like 2 feet away and he's getting shot at and nobody comes to help him. And like, well, there's no passage of time because there's no cuts. It's all one continuous shot. So
yeah.
That kind of thing. And then also, since they couldn't cut and everything, there's a scene where he's getting chased down by someone. Well, because they can't make cuts, he's running straight down a corridor when someone's shooting from right behind him and completely missing him. I'm going, zigzag something, but you can't because
Serpentine.
Yeah, so the effect was really cool, and it is quite the spectacle to watch. And it was cool to watch it in the theater. It's beautiful, shot by Roger Deakins.
So of course it's going to look good.
Yeah, and it was well directed, and the acting was really good. So it is a really good movie. A few minor flaws, but very good. I watched Apollo 11, where they found like a bunch of, 16 millimeter film.
I don't know what the story is behind it, but they...
Yeah, I didn't read into where they found all this footage and all that, but it's kind of interesting that they found it on the 50th anniversary of Apollo. It would be 50th, right? 69 to...
Yeah.
Yeah, to 2019. They just happened to find all this on the 50th anniversary. It's a conspiracy.
Or maybe they wanted to do something with it.
Yeah, probably. They probably had it for a little while. It was kind of cool to see some of that stuff back then, and like the guys getting ready to go on the rocket. They had cameras there while they're all getting ready and everything. It was quite an interesting documentary. I did not see Stanley Kubrick in there anywhere, so
0 stars. So, well, no, he was the one shooting the film.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. He was. He wouldn't.
He
have
was
been
behind the camera.
He was behind the camera. So okay, that's why he wasn't in any shots. I watched The Best of Enemies with Sam Rockwell and a lady. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Really good movie. And I feel bad that I'm forgetting the name again. I'm going to have to, I don't know, start taking, what is it, ginkgo that, helps your memory?
Something like that.
I'm getting old, folks. I am an old man. The Best of Enemies was about town in the South in 1971 that was, obviously they were segregated, but things were starting to get integrated, restaurants and all that stuff, but the schools were still segregated. And they came in and someone from the KKK set fire to the public school.
Well, that's no fun.
The black school. And so then they're like, we can't stay here. So they brought someone in to have, I can't remember what the term was, but where they bring someone from every portion of the town, every kind of aspect, the blacks, whites, Republicans, Democrats, rich, poor, get everyone. It was like a coquette or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they bring them together to talk. And they had, from the, all the whites, they had Sam Rockwell be the co-chair, and then the other lady from the black community be the co-chair. And God bless it, I can't remember. It's an actress I really like too. But anyway, Sam Rockwell happened to be the president of that town's branch of the KKK.
Huh.
And through this whole thing, I can spoil this because you know where it's going at the end, but they come together, the schools end up getting integrated, and then these two people end up becoming friends. And then afterwards it shows that they were friends for the rest of life, and they went around the United States like talking to different people.
Went on tour, played some gigs.
Yeah. So, it was very good. I'm a big fan of Sam Rockwell, so I mean,
remember that time he played President Bush?
Yes, I do.
He played W.
In that Cheney movie.
Yeah.
Also on the Best Picture list, I watched Joker, and I'm still thinking about what I think about that one. It was good, and Joaquin Phoenix is great, like everybody says. There are certain parts of it where I thought he was kind of like all over the place with his performance, but I don't know if that's supposed to be whatever mental condition he has, because it almost felt like he had every mental condition in the movie. So, and they kind of threw like every bad thing that can happen to him, they threw at him. So it was almost overboard with how much they put into it.
Like, so it almost turns into a Jude the Obscure, where like situation where like he's a perfectly fine guy, but then so many bad things happen to him, stops becoming tragic and becomes funny.
Yeah. So he has mental issues, and then with everything like going wrong for him and everybody like kind of shitting on him, then he goes bad. And it's like you're giving empathy to the Joker, and that's like one of those things where I'm like, this might have been a better movie if it wasn't DC.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the Joker, because then they also fit the Batman origin in there, and I'm like, why did you cram that in too?
When I heard that Thomas Wayne was going to be a character in that film, I know where this is going.
And one thing I have to say is also, being a fan of the comics, you can treat it like an Elseworld, but I wish they would have called it that, an Elseworld one, because in this movie, in order for this to work and to feel empathy for the Joker, they had to make Thomas Wayne a complete dick. And I was like, I don't feel like he was ever portrayed that way in the comics.
Well,
but he might.
There was the Flashpoint version where then he went kind of crazy and became a bad guy for a while.
That is true, but that's Flashpoint, so it's kind of like an almost Elseworldish.
No one likes Flashpoint.
But anyway, it is a good movie and a good performance. I thought it was unnecessary that they said it in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so that it made it even more a copycat of King of New York and Taxi Driver. But I'd recommend it, though, if you're a fan of, if you just want to see a different take on the Joker. It's interesting.
I still want to see a gritty origin story for someone like Kite Man or Condiment King.
Did you see? I saw an article. I don't know if this is true, but Paul Rubens wants to do a darker Pee Wee Herman movie directed by the Safdie brothers, and the Safdie brothers have said we're cool with that. I don't know what that would be, but it might be amazing.
Who knows?
Just a couple other movies I saw. I watched Constantine again, the Keanu Reeves one. He's not Constantine. He's Keanu Reeves being Constantine, but I dig that movie. It's fun. I watched Hotel Mumbai with Armie Hammer and Dev Patel. It was about some terrorist attacks in Mumbai, India in 2008. And they attacked like a train station and I think a restaurant, and a lot of these places they just walked in, shot all these people, threw grenades in, killed a ton of people, and then they went after the Taj hotel in Mumbai, and where a lot of wealthy people from around the world, Americans and all that stuff, will stay. And
the only person that can protect them is loose cannon cop John McClane.
Yes, he was in the air ducts, and
I knew it.
Walking across glass with broken glass with his bare feet. But no, it was a very tense movie and kind of just terrifying. And the people who played the terrorists were all very good, because they were just cold, dead stare people, just walk in and shoot. And they really added to the intensity of the movie just by how cold-blooded they were. And then showing the hotel staff and how they treated their customers and they're like, no, we need to make sure all of our guests are taken care of. Like, we're not going to just sneak out the back. We're going to help everybody. And how like the guests and the staff all came together, and a lot of people still ended up dying, but it was so it's kind of tragic too, but it was really well done. And that's another one I kind of suggest.
It was definitely not the sequel to the Grand Budapest Hotel I was expecting.
No, it was much bloodier.
Well, where's this?
What? So those are the ones I watched. I think long shot, John Wick Chapter 3, if you're a fan of the John Wick series, and Hotel Mumbai are some that I'd recommend. 1917 and Joker, they're Best Picture nominees, so I don't need to recommend them. You're probably going to watch them, or whoever's out there listening. But those are the ones that I would suggest out of that group that you might not think to watch.
I've seen a few movies too.
Nice. What'd you watch?
I've seen the 1950s version of Robinson Crusoe,
Cool.
which I like the sets. It's a great location, but then it's like there's also some iffy parts on it.
Is that a Disney one?
No.
No. Okay. When did Disney do that?
So you're thinking Swiss Family Robinson.
You're right.
And this one felt, still pretty racist, especially how they treated Friday. And I also saw Somebody Up There Likes Me, which is a very early Paul Newman movie, even predating Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, wow.
And that one's a lot of fun, where he plays, it's based on a true story about about a boxer named Rocky Graziano. So it's Paul Newman playing a boxer. And just especially with the way it was edited and shot, especially it was in black and white with the big boxing scenes, you could definitely tell that there was some influence from it, probably to something like Raging Bull, because
Okay.
Martin Scorsese knows his film history, so my guess is he probably saw that at least once.
Cool.
And then I also saw The Music Man, and it's The Music Man, so it's
What do you talk?
classic. Then some musical movies, there's a song you would want to skip or like you'd fast forward through, but
There's always that one that goes really long. Like the song is one that you really don't care for, and then they go into a long dancing sequence where it's just instrumental. Every musical. But is there really one in Music Man though?
no. All the songs are good in The
think
Music
so.
Man.
Yeah.
And even the one that does have the big dance number, especially like Marian Librarian, is still one of the best songs in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And has such a fun dancing sequence because they go all around the library, use all these different props. It's a very fun one.
Definitely a good movie.
And then I also saw Souls for Sale, which is a 1923 silent film, which is kind of a bit of a Star is Born type story. Woman is resistant to go to Hollywood and become a big star because, you might be this whole big den of sin. She does. But what's also kind of fun is that they did have cameos from actual people working in the silent era. So, for example, Charlie Chaplin shows up in the movie in a cameo. Silent
cool.
film director King Vidor shows up in a cameo. So it is kind of cool because it is a behind-the-scene looks of what the filmmaking process was like in that era, which I always think is really neat. And, these great costumes, good acting, good fun stuff. It was a nice restored version because it was thought lost for a long time.
Where'd you watch that on?
I just recorded off the DVR.
Oh, okay.
Which is where I watched a lot of these movies. And yeah, I've just been watching a lot of films off my DVR because it's starting to fill up. So it's just put the next one on,
You definitely watch a wider range of. I watch a lot of more recent movies. I need to start watching some older stuff too.
I should start. I also saw Rabid, which is a early David Cronenberg film. And this is kind of, so it was because he made Rabid, then he made Brood in 1979, then Videodrome, and then probably his most famous one, The Fly, from 86, I believe.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of Cronenberg. I have seen Videodrome. I love The Fly. I own that one. I like both versions of The Fly.
They're both really good.
Yeah, they're both great in their own way. The 50s one with Vincent Price is really campy, and then Cronenberg's is kind of terrifying.
Yep.
But so good.
Yep. They both are really good at playing up the more tragic angle of the scientist kind of slowly losing his mind in different ways.
Yeah. But speaking of animals, should we get to Starfish, or did you watch anything else?
It's probably at least one more that I'm forgetting. It's been a lot. So anyway, movies are good. I like movies.
I like movie film.
And The Music Man is probably one of the best movie musicals ever made. And also because it has Robert Preston, who was actually originated the role of Professor Harold Hill. So
very nice.
There's a lot of good jokes that you forget about. Does your son buckle his knickerbockers below the knee? He starts saying words like swell. And so is your old man. Is he memorizing jokes from Captain Billy's Whiz Bang?
I can't forgive them for talking smack about pool players since I play pool every week.
Also, you always forget that Buddy Hackett is in that movie too. There's a ton of stuff. Also, he's the voice of Scuttle in Little Mermaid. So,
wow, what was he in? It's been a while since I've watched Music Man.
He was his buddy that decided to live in that town.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to revisit that one. I do enjoy that one a lot, and it's set in Riverside, Iowa.
River City.
River City, not
which
Riverside.
Is Mason. It's based on Mason City.
Yeah, which I actually grew up near Mason City. So.
I've never been to Mason City.
That was where the mall was when I was in high school.
Back in the day?
Yeah, I was in high school in a small town called Hampton, and the nearest mall was a half hour away in Mason City. So
wow.
That's where we'd go to the arcade and movie theater and all that. So yeah, I've been to Mason City a lot.
All right, I suppose we should have to stop putting off the inevitable.
Yes, indeed. Starfish.
Talking about starfish. Those crazy starfish. Let's dig in.
That have nothing to do with the movie.
Well, maybe there's starfish in the movie.
There are starfish in the movie. Are they the stars of the movie?
Would have been so much better with Patrick Starr, that is all.
Yes.
All right, so
Why
this came
sad,
out...
Patrick? I can't see my forehead.
One of the best comedic lines ever delivered.
I haven't watched a lot of SpongeBob in my life, but I will always remember that line. Have you actually seen that episode?
I've seen probably too many episodes of SpongeBob because it came out in 1999 and it hit me when I was 5 and became an obsession.
Yeah, just that line though. I quote that. I can't see my forehead. Okay, enough about Patrick.
Can you ever really talk enough about Patrick Starr?
No. We are in this is kind of like Coward's Bend the Knee, where they start out as based on a true story.
Is it?
Is it really? So all of the synopses that you see online for this movie are a girl is getting over the death of her friend while the world is coming to an end.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 stars. Moving
I just told you the movie. There you go. You figure it out from there. So I guess we start out with we see just a flash of what's going to happen with this snowy mountain and these weird monoliths and
like
portals
a weird energy explosion or whatever.
Yeah, and then it
go
cuts
down to Rapture, I think, and then in the ocean, and then Andrew Ryan tries to kill us with the. We're getting mixed up again.
You might be.
I miss BioShock.
Oh, that's going to be the free. The BioShock collection is the free PS4 games this month or in February.
Nice.
I'm kind of excited.
Good games. Although I skipped BioShock 2 because it wasn't made by the same developer.
Anyway, on to this movie.
We'll talk about it eventually.
So this girl, she's at a funeral at the beginning.
What's her name again?
Aubrey. Played by Virginia Gardner. I actually liked her in this movie. She was the saving grace of the movie.
She definitely anchors the film because it's not a very large cast. And a lot of this film, she's just kind of by herself in an apartment.
And I think she could be an up-and-comer because, like I said, she really saved this movie. I guess she was in the show Runaways.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And then
heard it's good, though.
She was in the new Halloween reboot.
Oh.
So
maybe she's probably got killed.
She might have. but I really enjoyed her. She's really good in this movie, so I will give that. This movie, I will say though, I read the director A.T. White. This is his feature length debut, and it came out like I think in some festivals in 2018.
Yep.
And then like a little more wide in 2019. But one thing I will say, regardless of what I think of this movie, I read somewhere that everything he gets from this movie, he's donating to cancer research. So good for him.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't know if he was like grieving the loss of someone in real life, and that's why they said based on a true story, or like what. And I'm wondering if that has to do with him donating to cancer. If maybe he lost someone to cancer.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there might be an interview somewhere where he talks about it.
I feel like the whole movie's supposed to be some sort of metaphor for grief and moving on and all that, but like it's so just.
But not in like a ghost sort of way.
Oh God, Ghost was so boring.
Can you imagine?
No, Ghost Story. I was thinking of Ghost Story. No, Ghost.
Patrick Swayze.
Yes, I like Ghost.
There should have been a pottery scene in this film.
And all the film snobs are going to go, you like Ghost, but not Ghost Story. Oh God, I can't listen to you anymore.
Probably we're listening anyway.
That's true. I think one of our episodes has like 90 views on it.
Nice.
They might have like I think it has like an average of a minute per view, but
I'll take what we can get.
We'll take it. Nothing fits together.
Well, we'll start at the beginning. She's there. She's in like small town Pacific Northwest, maybe.
Yeah, something like
Definitely looks Pacific Northwest area.
Although I read where she ends up is Colorado.
Well, maybe it's in Colorado, or I don't know. The point is there's lots of mountains, lots of trees, and someone murdered Laura Palmer.
Yes. And she's getting sad about that. And
yep.
She lost her friend. And there's a flashback to something on the beach with a car and her and a guy standing in the water. And they give us the director gives us flashes of things, but there's not enough there for you to even assume what happened. It just is, oh, here's something. Well, what is that? Give us I don't need to be spoon-fed my movies, but I need something of substance there that you can actually decipher something. And I couldn't decipher this film at all.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem kind of obtuse, and that's obviously done on purpose.
Yeah.
They use kind of can get abstract imagery. There's an animated sequence thrown in the middle for some reason, which I like the animated sequence. That was good.
The thing that I noticed with that is, okay, so she goes to the friend's funeral, and the friend's European cousin says, "Oh, hey, you're Aubrey." So she never said anything without mentioning you, and she always said something about this song she listened to a lot, and said you would totally understand. And I'm glad someone understands, because I didn't.
Yep, and the song was the ABC song. No, it was Baby Shark.
Baby Shark.
Don't you dare.
And so after she runs into that girl, then she goes and breaks into the dead girl's apartment.
Yeah, and there's these weird cuts where she's standing somewhere, then she's somewhere else. So it almost made me think she's starting to disassociate, because sometimes when you're grieving, you're in a deep emotional state, you're just kind of wandering around your house and how did I end up in this room?
Well, the one thing I noticed with the second viewing is, and yes, I sat through this movie twice for all y'all, so listen to our podcast, is that she goes there and she's digging through the apartment. I don't know what she's looking for. Who knows? But she finds this tape that says, this mixtape will save the world, or something like that. And she listens to it, and it's her friend saying, I found this signal or whatever. Because all of a sudden, it's a ton of snow outside. Nobody's in town. And there's these creatures outside.
Yep.
These faceless monster creatures.
And then he has to find his wife. And then he keeps getting chased by this weird monster holding a giant blade named Pyramid Head. I got Silent Hill vibes from this.
I haven't seen Silent Hill and I haven't played the game, so. But
I heard the first movie is actually pretty decent, but.
But anyway, she said, I found this signal and I embedded it into a bunch of different songs, and there's 7 tapes. And she said, and on this cassette, the Dead Girls cassette, she said, I've hidden them all the places we used to go. So then we get Aubrey going out and going to all these places. But here's where the dissociation happens is every time she plays a tape, the signal underneath the song, I think that's what projects her into these different areas.
Okay.
Because it happened every time she played a tape.
Interesting.
So when she's trying to get away from that monster outside, she got into that truck, she threw the tape into the cassette deck, and then we went all animated, and then she ended up under the truck and the monster was gone.
I like the animated sequence.
It was beautifully animated.
It was done by Tezuka Productions, which is a legendary studio founded by Osamu Tezuka, the guy he was called the Walt Disney of Japan. He created so many things, but his most famous probably is Astro Boy.
Okay.
And he was really big influence there in animation and just manga and just a lot of things over in Japan. So I think it's cool that they got, and I don't know how they landed Tezuka Productions because I'm pretty sure they're not cheap.
Yeah, and this is a very low budget independent film, so he must add some sort of connection because that animated sequence, whether it made sense or not, it was gorgeous.
Yep.
There's also like she keeps seeing this dude with no face. Like his face is like just like like an empty cavity. It's just not there anymore. And just a hole in his skull, which is kind of creepy, but I don't know who this guy is. And there's some scene where she's talking to her dead friend under a blanket while she's in the apartment, and she's sad because she goes, I wasn't there for you to look out for you and all this stuff, and then the dead girl says, you cheated, you're gonna have to get over that. And then there's some recurring theme of forgive and forget. You see it written everywhere. And so, but the thing is I'm going, what are we forgiving and forgetting? Like they just give us these little pieces of a puzzle, but there's not enough of it for you to see the whole picture.
I thought maybe it was probably forgiving and forgetting the fact that maybe she wasn't there for her best friend when her friend died.
Yeah.
And how they had maybe lost touch in more recent years.
Yeah. And
maybe, that's part of the grieving process, I would think.
So I don't know if the world is coming to an end is a metaphor for her world coming to an end because her friend died. I don't know.
Or maybe the world actually ended.
Yeah, because it seems like it was quite literal.
Also, this movie is obsessed with old analog technology. There's like, she watches something on the old TV. She's got like a rotary phone. She's got a walkie-talkie. She's got a tape player and audio cassette tapes. So
yeah, and then there's some mysterious dude on the other end of her walkie-talkie that knows her name and knows she's looking for this signal. And he says, oh, this signal is what brought these creatures into our world. But then Aubrey's like, well, I need to find all of them and play them together.
And would you kindly go find the tapes?
Yeah, and so then she's on the search for
BioShock is on my mind again.
She finds one in like a supermarket taped underneath a shelf. She finds one in a theater under a seat, in the library. She finds a dead guy in a freezer somewhere. And
then she has to like burn a certain bush, and then like a cave, and then a dungeon appears, and then if only. And
then so she finds all these tapes, and when she plays them individually, like I said, she goes to these different areas, and she keeps having these disassociative
so once the more tapes she unlocks, the more fast travel locations she unlocks on the map.
So she can just go wherever she wants. It's just like, oh, pop in this tape and you'll go to this town.
It's better for late game the more places you go.
But she eventually gets. There's also, what is with the neighbors that the dead girl was spying on?
Sometimes you get bored. Maybe it was a rear window scenario.
Yeah, because she finds a telescope in the room when she first breaks into the apartment, and it's pointed right at this bedroom, and these two people get naked and get into bed, and then later she fantasizes about them and masturbates. That's all that is there for. And it's like, who are those people? We don't know because they never say afterwards.
Yep.
And it had nothing to do with anything.
Telling you, rear window scenario.
The dude helps her on the walkie-talkie when she first encounters one of those creepy monster things by like sending part of the signal. And I don't know what the whole thing with him is, because she found a notebook from like different time periods.
Mm-hmm.
And when she put all of the sayings together, the guy in the walkie-talkie was talking to her, and everything he was saying was written out on the notebooks. I don't know what that means.
I think
he's one of the creepy things.
I think that this is just taking me back to Silent Hill, because in the first Silent Hill, you walk around with like a walkie-talkie, and the walkie-talkie gives off static, and then the more static there is, that means the closer is when a monster appears.
And then you have those creepy faceless monsters, right?
Yes.
So she eventually finds all 7 tapes, and she's a radio DJ. We know that from the funeral when someone says, "You're Aubrey from," what was it? From Spirit 105 FM. Ah, I love you, Aubrey. And she walks away. But that was just so we could know that she worked at a radio station.
Yep.
And she finds all 7 tapes, and for some reason this radio station has a giant machine that can hold 7 audio cassette tapes.
Well, that's convenient. So it's older machine.
And then it like plays like several seconds off of one, and then the
plays
next one.
Like in sequence or whatever, mixes them together.
I kind of feel like this movie is also like, hey, look at this hipster music that I like that, you know, I'll put in my movie for you guys to enjoy.
It's cheaper to license.
Yeah. And one of them actually was the director. He's in a band.
Nice.
I think his band did the score, and they might have done another song on there or something, but
too bad Goblin didn't do the score. Exactly.
And actually I say hipster music, but I actually dug a lot of it.
Yes,
so
okay.
it actually was good music. I kind of want to look up the artist. So that was one thing that came out of this movie.
Like the soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah, I liked the soundtrack of it. Like, so her friend is like, I put these messages on an analog. I mean, that's why I say hipster, because I put these on an analog tape with these independent bands.
She should have put them on like giant records.
Yeah.
She has to carry around like a big gramophone and like crank it every time.
I scratched my own records. But yeah, some of the music was pretty good, but then it played like a snippet from each song at the end, then with all of the tapes going, and then once it went through all 7 tapes, then,
and then she
then the guy
then she gets the Triforce of Courage.
Yes, the guy in the walkie-talkie goes, "What did you do? Did you think that was good when the signal came from these people, and that's how they got through, and now you played the whole signal?
You didn't close the dimensional door. You opened the dimensional door. Now we're all gonna die." And whoops.
And then she goes and walks into it and has a bunch of flashbacks to a bunch of memories of her boyfriend or something.
Maybe.
At the end, it was really very nicely shot. Like, there's some good composition in here. I
thought they utilized their budget well.
Yeah, for low budget, it looked really nice.
It did look great.
Like I said, I really liked her in this movie for being given not much to work with. She was excellent.
She definitely is the highlight of the film, at least for me, is her performance. Virginia Gardner's great. I'd love to see her in more stuff.
Yes. I'm going to have to rewatch Halloween and see where she was in that. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll have to watch Runaways now. But anyway, good for this guy for making a movie, and you donate to that cancer research. I like that. So it sounds like a good guy.
And there are starfish in it, because in the friend's apartment,
there's jellyfish.
There she keeps jellyfish, which are really hard to keep.
Yeah.
So then she feeds the jellyfish starfish.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, the jellyfish
are dead.
So the starfish live, I guess.
I guess I didn't know why it was called Starfish, because she just feeds starfish to a jellyfish, and I don't know, was that supposed to mean something?
Maybe.
You know, if anybody out there listening has seen this movie and you know what the fuck was going on, please comment. Tell me I'm stupid and I just didn't get it. I don't care. Tell me what this movie was about.
We'd be happy to listen to it, because we're clearly missing something.
There were not enough puzzle pieces for me to see the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we at least got this Virginia Gardner. You got to see her perform really well, and hope she goes on to bigger and better things. And this director has a good vision, like as far as like, you know, the visual aspect of the movie.
You know, shout out to the cinematographer, did a great job.
Yeah. So a lot of good aspects of the film, but like with nothing coherent. It just like it kind of
It doesn't come together, I guess. It does not make a cohesive whole to me.
yeah, and so it's like a David Lynch film. Nothing means anything.
Except, from what I understand, David Lynch is actually like really good to work with. He's very nice, very personable. He's actually a good director when working with actors. That's why people really like to work with him.
You know, sometimes those weird directors actually are.
Yeah, because just in general, don't be a jerk to anyone if you're in that sort of position.
Yeah.
Be nice, then you can have some really nice working relationships with people that you enjoy. And just generally, there's absolutely no reason to try and be angry to get a, quote, better reaction out of someone. That's mean, that's inhumane, that's unethical. And remember, they're people. Treat them like people, not as like puppets.
So don't be Quentin Tarantino. Doesn't he like have issues with the way he treats people on set sometimes?
I've heard a few things.
Yeah, there's been a few stories where I'm like, yeah.
And of course, the famous story would be like Stanley Kubrick, who absolutely treated
yeah,
Shelley Duvall terribly during the filming of The Shining. There's absolutely no reason to do that for any reason.
Which is unfortunate. I hate hearing those stories like about my favorite people. Like I love Stanley Kubrick's one of my all-time favorite directors. I love most of his movies, but I hate hearing the stories about how he treated his actors and stuff. And then of course Alfred Hitchcock, who's got just a long storied career, and he was a misogynist. You know, it's just
Yep, there's a term problematic fave for a reason.
So anyway, you know, there were some people that liked this movie because we go to Rotten Tomatoes. This had 90% from 59 critics.
Not bad. So all right, hopefully you can does well enough so they can get some more work.
The general audience were more baffled like us. There was 114 users, 46%. So, but I was looking down at a lot of the positive reviews, the quote unquote positive reviews, and some of them are like, not all of those pieces fit together, but they combine into something strikingly original. So that's
I can give them that.
Yeah,
I can give them that.
I'll give you that, but like that's where you take the 90% with a grain of salt, because I mean even that review is like
they never say how positive. If it's something that has a 90%, it doesn't necessarily mean that like 90% of the reviews are absolutely glowing, like this is a masterpiece of cinema. It could be like, I liked it.
Yeah. So I mean, because even that one right there says, I don't know what was going on, but it was pretty. So, you know, and we gave it that. So
I guess, you know, if you're interested, it's on Amazon Prime. So that's good. You know, it's not hard to find.
It is different. It's an independent film. It's interesting. Just doesn't come together.
If you're into that more kind of abstract, art housey kind of stuff, and that's kind of your jam, I think you might enjoy it.
I could recommend it for that, for those reasons too. Yeah. We want to move on to our double feature.
Sure.
You're going to recommend Silent Hill, the video game?
I know, but because this is about movies and not about video games.
Silent Hill, the movie?
I haven't seen Silent Hill, the movie.
Okay.
Or the sequel.
What do you got for a recommendation?
Let's see. Well, if you're going to talk about people in like a small town setting, small cast caught in a bizarre scenario, I don't know. This is so hard. This is hard.
It is hard because it's, like we said, it's such like an abstract film that doesn't have like a coherent through line. So it's like hard to like compare it to another movie.
Because on one thing, I'm thinking stuff like Fargo, which is, you know, also about people in the snow, but then Fargo doesn't have all like the weird alien invasion or demonic or interdimensional stuff going for it.
Yeah.
So I guess Fargo, because I really like Fargo, or maybe more thematically appropriate if we're going with this end of the world scenario, maybe John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, because it's a snowy, isolated location, maybe some paranoia.
Yeah.
Yeah, great effects.
I went with something different, and I didn't go with the snowy. Actually, the movie I'm thinking of is set in California, I think, in Picumandu. But the movie that came to mind with this one, and, you know, for the loosest reasons, was Odd Thomas. I don't know if you've seen this one.
I heard about it.
It is based on a Dean Koontz book. There's actually a series of Odd Thomas novels. He's a main character through a series of books by Dean Koontz. He's a guy who he sees dead people. And these dead people come to them, but they can't talk. And he just has to follow them to see like what they're leading, the mystery that he's solving or whatever. And there's the police chief knows about his abilities, but he wants to keep his abilities secret. So like, he'll go after these people that have done bad things and killed someone, and then he'll catch them, and then the police chief has to like twist the story so that they don't find out that it's because he has a psychic, basically a clairvoyant. The police chief is played by Willem Dafoe.
Nice.
And I really like him in this movie.
He's great.
It's one of my favorite performances, and this movie was not talked about when it came out.
Does he act like an old-timey sailor and end up naked at one point?
No.
Then I'm not interested.
But the reason this movie came to mind was because the creatures that are in Starfish, these black, faceless, weird things, they reminded me of these kind of hell creatures in Odd Thomas that came up and they would surround. And the more that came around, the more death was going to happen because they fed off of the fear and the death and all of this. And so, Odd Thomas calls them Bodaks. And
BoJack Horseman?
Yes. And he can see these things. And it's about like this big, massive amount of death that's going to happen in this town. And he's trying to stop it. So it's not the end of the world, but it's a big disaster for this town that's going to happen.
So you're saying it could become a zone? A dead zone, you might say?
Yes. And the other thing that brought me to this one is there is a bit at the end where it is about trying to move on from the death of someone. So, and the Odd Thomas is played by Anton Yelchin. I don't think I mentioned that.
I miss him. He was so good.
He was someone
you felt like he was about to break big before he tragically passed away.
He really was, and I think he was going to have a long, really good career. I'd like this Odd Thomas, like I said, no one talked about this movie. Really go out and see it. Willem Dafoe was great in it, and Anton Yelchin was always great. It's just a fun little movie, and he was great as Chekhov. That's the character. Victor.
Yes.
and actually, I would recommend Fright Night, the remake. That was actually a good remake with Colin Farrell and Anton Yelchin, and then also
was the Green Room?
Green Room was the last one I was gonna say. Love Green Room with Patrick Stewart as like the
it's like a
neo-Nazi, like the leader of a neo-Nazi group. That was a great movie. Which actually, Patrick Stewart, Picard, Chekhov,
it all comes together.
It's all Star Trek.
Yes.
Starfishing. It all comes full circle to Patrick the Starfish.
Genius.
But no, go watch Odd Thomas. It's on Prime. I actually found it on there and rewatched it.
Neat. So now I move on to our final segment where we spin the wheel of film and see where we end up.
Spin it to win it.
I think so.
70% or better. All genres. All right. No whammy, no whammy.
Spin, spin, spin.
Oh, we got an older movie this time.
What do you mean by old? Because I talked about a movie from 1923.
Okay, older than we've been getting lately.
Okay.
Here's our synopsis. After Drew Dixon, an upright young man, is sent west by his religious family to avoid being drafted into the Civil War, that's how old it is.
Nice.
Did they have movies back then?
No.
He drifts across the land with a loose confederation of young vagrants.
Can
you guess what this is?
Do they form a wild bunch? Are they a bunch of young guns?
No, but they made a song about him. Bad Company.
Yeah.
This is called Bad Company from 1972. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Starring Jeff Bridges and Barry Brown.
Nice.
So 1972, Jeff Bridges movie.
The Last Picture Show, which is Jeff Bridges from 1971.
Been a long time since I've seen that, but I remember really liking that one. Yeah,
it's a solid film. It's Peter Bogdanovich, who I always wish he made more movies, but he had a solid run there for a while. Also, Peter I don't know. Anyway, point is, he was also a great film historian. He's also a great film historian, so you can ever attend one of his live talks. He does really good impressions.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't recognize anybody else in this movie. It's directed by Robert Benton. Has he done anything else?
Maybe, probably.
Oh, he directed Nobody's... Oh, did he do Nobody's Fool, Kramer versus Kramer, Twilight? So some Paul Newman. Nobody's Fool in Twilight. Okay, so 1972.
Isn't Twilight the classic 2008 film with about Bella and Edward?
Sparkly vampires. Bad Company, 1972. That sounds interesting. I've never even heard of this one.
What service it is on, sir?
This is on, actually, Prime Video and Hulu and Epix if you have that. I do not have that, but
neither do
it's
I.
there. So Prime Video and Hulu, which are the services we use. So anyway, Bad Company, 1972, Jeff Bridges, a really young Jeff Bridges there.
Until then, the dude abides.
And I still can't see my forehead.